Hi, I'm the zookeeper. This is Easy, and welcome to Emerald Zoo. All right, we just talked about the HVAC. Now, lighting totally mystifies me. Explain all of that to me because I've tried to grow with a regular lamp and it don't work. Like,
No. Light, it seems to be a mystery for a lot of folks. Light intensity, how close do I put the light, what kind of light, is sunlight. Of course, sunlight's going to be your best bet. But when you go indoors and you go into a confined environment where you've got control over complete lighting, now you're talking about trying to replicate the sun for these plants. So you want to come as close as you can. And I do it. A lot of people do it a lot of different ways. You can believe me. You can put a light over your plants and let them go and hope for the best. And a lot of people do, and it works. You can do that. Don't get me wrong. Um, but when you talk about dialing something in, because a lot of people talk, well, I dial in my soil, I dial in this, or I dial in that, or my water. A light is something that is another one of those things that I do take fairly serious, and because I've used sunlight, I've used all kinds of artificial lighting. Um, I like the light that I'm using, and when we talk about intensity, cannabis plants are short day plants. They're going to require those long nights for them to go into flower. That's why, as indoor growers, when we flip our plants, what we call flipping them, we go from an 18:6 light schedule to a 12:12. When we go to a 12:12 light schedule, what that long day nighttime does is it allows that hormone to build up in the plants. And when that hormone starts hitting a certain level every night or in their dark period, that's when they know it's time for me to go into flower. Light intensity, on the other hand, is just as important. And the way I figured out is what I'm using. It's a hydrofarm tool. It's a par meter. Par stands for photosynthetically active radiation. The amount of light that your plant requires to go produce photosynthesis. For cannabis plants, it requires them to have 40 to 50 moles of light during that 12-hour photo period. The way you figure that out is you take a par meter, find out what your light intensity is at the canopy. This plays a lot of things. We'll go into some of that detail too. The way you figure that out, par is figured out. Again, you find out what par is. If you got 850 par at canopy, it's 850 times 60 times 60 times 12 divided by a million would give you about 37 moles of light for that photo period. That's how growers, whether they're pro growers, warehouse growers, or just amateurs that are paying attention to what they're doing, they can tell you how many moles of light their plants have during that photo period. And that's how you do the math. So in order to get to that 40 to 50 moles of light, what we do is we measure micromoles or U moles with a light meter, par meter. Again, in order to achieve that, you're going to have to go to about 950 micromoles of light at canopy times 60 times 60 times 12 divided by a million, and that'll give you about 41 total moles of light during that photo period. Again, because cannabis plants require anywhere from 40 to 50 total moles of light to really flower, to get that really nice, tight. You see cannabis plants in flower and they're light, airy, sometimes real, just not real dense nugs. What's happened is those plants don't have enough photo period energy to flower properly. And that's why getting your lights the right distance from the canopy is really critical. And knowing what your lights output is and knowing what its footprint is will help you in the long run achieve some really magnificent plants. But it comes down to being able to dial in plant and to demystify the whole light thing. Again, it comes down to using the correct tool. And as long as you know what micromoles are, and I've showed you the math, Now you know to find out how to find out how many total moles of light your plants are getting during a photo period.
Okay, so that totally confused me even more.
Clear as mud, right?
Yeah. You got a lamp in there. It's a sun system. And how much does that put out?
That sun systems, it's a 630 sun systems LEC. If I get right up underneath the hood, I'm well into 1600 micromoles of light.
And my plants need what?
You're going to need a total of 40 to 50 moles, but you got to know what and that's why this comes in handy, because that's why you move that light away from your plants, because it takes the heat away. And as you because as you move the light away, PAR will drop down into that range that you're looking for. I'm usually around that 950 to 1000 range, so that I can target that 40 to 50 total moles of light at the end of their photo period.
Okay, so that makes it a little more clear.
That's why knowing every hood, whether it's an LEC, LED, a HID, I don't care what it is going to have a PAR value, and knowing where that hood's sweet spot is above your canopy is going to make a big difference in how your plants. Once you get to that sweet spot, you want to follow that up with your plants.
Okay, now you've added in that red round light. What is that going to do for you?
That's just additional PAR. It's additional flowering light. It just helps with penetration into the rest of the plant down through the canopy, and it helps some of those smaller, lower branch nugs develop into decent stuff instead of just little flowery stuff that you're going to throw away anyway.
And you never throw it away. At least squish it.
It goes into the trim bin.
Come on. So here, that red light, what's the special about the red light versus that big white light that you have?
Nothing. The plants don't see the color difference.
Okay.
The vegetation does not see that color difference. It's intense light. It's again, it's photosynthetically active radiation that those plants can use, so that you don't get what's called LARF, that light airy buds down at the bottom.
Okay. I often get that little popcorn, teeny tiny stuff down at the bottom.
Yeah,
you're going to try to beef up the bottom of your plant.
Right. That's just about keeping the bottom of the plants a little more involved with the flowering process.
Okay. So do you need to teach me anything else about lighting?
Without adding a lot of complexity to it, again, you can grow under a lot of different light, and a lot of people do.
Ooh, I got a question.
What's that?
So I grow tomatoes sometimes in the basement during the winter. Can I use that light to do my cannabis plants?
You could grow vegetables indoors with the same lighting. Again, your PAR values are going to be, your environments are going to change. Your tomatoes are going to ask for a little different PAR value and a little different humidity and temperature values. Okay. So your environment changes.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Now you do.
Anything else?
No. If anybody ever has questions around lighting, always feel free to reach out through the Emerald Zoo website. I always make myself available. Lighting's really not that complex, especially once you get down to it's like a tire. Some people go, it looks full to me. Well, it don't quite look good to me, but again, put a gauge on it. If you're unsure about your light, put a gauge on it.
Right on. Thank you.
Yep.